The speaker for today is Michelle Bambawale, and Michelle has worked on British Council projects across the country, including delivering teacher training, both face-to-face and online. Since the pandemic, Michelle has designed, presented, and moderated online workshops for our teacher learning community. In 2021, she completed a 9 course on trainer development. In 2017, she co-authored a case study on teacher evaluation in India. She completed her master's in education, curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment at the Institute of Education, London, UK. Michelle's goal is to empower teachers and learners to be change agents for climate action in their classrooms and communities. Over to you, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Priya. Many thanks to the British Council for organizing this hands-on workshop, 3 ways to engage with climate action in the language classroom. Most importantly, thanks to so many teachers and teacher educators who have joined this session today. Good evening and welcome. Education is a crucial resource that all of us can use to call our learners to take urgent climate action. The British Council has an extensive library of resources on their website, including lesson plans, discussion topics, webinars, podcasts, and a publication that you can download, Climate Action in Language Education, Activities for Low Resource Contexts. I will share the resources and the references at the end of our session. In today's workshop, I have adapted a couple of lessons from the British Council online library. One is for primary, the other is for secondary. We will also each create a climate action plan that you can use in your classroom. You as a classroom practitioner know your learners best. So please adapt these lessons, use home language and multilingualism as and when required, as long as we empower our learners with the right climate vocabulary. As we go along, please think of how you will use each of these examples in your own classroom to teach reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills, as well as critical thinking, problem solving, and digital literacy skills. Let's look at our learning objectives. By the end of the session, you will be able to brainstorm the effects of climate change that we are experiencing, integrate climate action and reflection in your language lessons, and create a climate action plan to implement in your classroom and community. First of all, what is climate change? I've used this definition from the UN site. The UN also have a rich resource library of ideas that you can use in your classroom. They have an education resource library. So they say climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. Such shifts can be natural due to changes in the sun's activity or large volcanic eruption. But since the 1800s, human activities have been the main driver of climate change, primarily due to the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. Burning fossil fuels generates greenhouse gases emissions that act like a blanket wrapped around the earth, trapping the sun's heat and raising temperatures. Let's look at what are the effects of climate change that we are experiencing. You can scan this QR code, or Mahua is going to paste the link in the chat box. Click on the Mentimeter link or scan the barcode. Once you go there, please type 1 word, 2 word, 3 words of the effects of climate change that we are experiencing. This is the Mentimeter link. So we will see your answers there. We have hurricanes, droughts, and floods. Any other ideas? Type your super hot summers, floods, unseasonal rain, crop cultivation, human loss, disasters. 2. all very true and very tragic. Yes, unseasonal rain, human loss, El Nino disasters, change in weather, cloud bursts. Yes, thank you very much. There's been a huge change in the weather patterns that we have been experiencing, and we know that this is due to climate change. These are some effects that I wanted to collaborate on. I think you've written most of them, but just to name a few more: rising sea levels, you mentioned heat waves, cyclones, floods. Recently, in many cities in India, we've experiencing floods. It was in Bengaluru, it was in New Delhi. We know that in Uttarakhand and in Himachal, the mountains have been collapsing, causing a lot of destruction and homelessness. Uh, wildfires in different parts of the world, disease. We have rising dengue cases in India. Last week, newspapers reported that recent studies point to a climate change link. As rising temperatures, mosquitoes are breeding, they're spreading diseases. In addition to dengue, we also have malaria, chikungunya, and such cases in India. We know that pollution levels in India and across the world are rising. We had 3 Indian cities on the list of the world's most polluted cities. Drought, I think you mentioned drought, unseasonal rain, melting glaciers, lots of tragedies with related to climate change. I've used a visual, which is from the National Geographic Library. They also have a lot of useful resources and powerful images. It shows us a polar bear, and it talks about bears are spending more energy swimming because they have to get further south because of the heating planet. And so this is putting their survival at risk. So why do you think discussing climate change is important in the classroom? Can you type your answers in the chat box? Why do you think we as teachers should engage with talking to our learners about climate change in the classroom? Do we have any answers in the chat box? Pollution, yes. We have local curriculum engaged with climate action. We call planting around schools. Beside planting, students make compost, also recycle plastic, make some chairs. Great. Children are our future. They need to know about the environment to create awareness, create awareness about climate. Exactly. Here are some reasons that I've put together. Why is discussing climate change in the classroom important? First of all, like you said, to raise awareness and understanding of the impact on us, on our communities, and on the planet. To empower our learners to take action, to learn relevant language and vocabulary. It's important that they learn a green glossary, that they learn terms like sustainability, recycling, many words that will help them. So it's important they have the right language to be able to express themselves about climate change. And of course, to develop critical thinking, problem solving, and digital literacy skills. Yes, someone has said to get more knowledge about the environment and about climate change. So these are some of the reasons why we feel it is very important to discuss climate change in the classroom. Now let's look at some classroom ideas. First of all, I'll be looking at a primary lesson. I have adapted this activity from the British Council website. It involves technology and uses technology. However, if you don't have access to technology, I know that primary teachers are very creative and very innovative. You can sing the words are available online. You can download the words and sing them for your students. We are going to do a pre-activity before we play the song, just to introduce them to the vocabulary so that when they hear the song, they know the words that they need to know. So we are going to do a matching activity. You have to think that you are a primary learner this time. If you don't have access to technology, you can draw these pictures on the board and do a matching activity. They can write them in their notebooks. Online, if they have access to technology, they can do the activity online. So we have 5 pictures and we have some words. A is planet Earth. B is running tap water. C is reusable water bottle. D is litter in the sea. And E is recycling bin. So I need you to type in the chat box which picture matches with which vocabulary word. For example, 1 is D, which is litter in the sea. So type 1D and then 2, whatever else it matches with. Yes, somebody's got 4B, A5, 5A, 2E. Look at the words and look at the pictures and see how you can match them. 3C. Yes, there are more 3Cs. There are many 5As. Yes, 1D. I said 1D. Okay, good. Everybody's got them right. So these were the answers. Mawa, can you paste them in the chat box so people can cross-reference? So 1 was D, litter in the sea. 2, the visual was E, which is a recycling bin. 3, which everybody got, was a reusable water bottle. 4 was B, which is running tap water. And 5 was A, which is planet Earth. So these are some of the vocabulary words and phrases that they need to do to be prepared when they watch the song. One more activity for you to keep in mind while you watch the video, think of the do's and don'ts that the video talks about, because for young learners, it's easy for them to know do's and don'ts. Just think of these words, and after the video, we'll put them into 2 columns, do's and don'ts. Okay, I'm going to play this video. It's a very fun video. I'm sure you'll all be humming it soon. Can you see him here?
Turn off your computer and turn off your TV. Go outside today. Pick up all the litter that you see. Don't use too much plastic, 'cause it can end up in the sea. Buy a reusable bottle and make sure all your friends see that you're doing your very best to save the planet that you love. Do not leave the tap running as you brush your teeth or bed. Recycle everything you can at your home and at your school. Recycling's not just an obligation. Recycling's really cool. You're doing your very best to save the planet that you love. Doing your very best to save the planet that you love.
You're doing your very best. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'm sure primary learners will enjoy it. Now, can you put these into 2 columns? Again, you can type do's and then under it, for example, 1, recycle. And then you can also type don'ts or DTs in the chat box and then type the numbers against it. So please type in the chat box against do's what numbers you think go, and against don'ts what numbers go. So the options are recycle is 1, go outside is 2, pick up plastic is 3, throw litter is 4, leave the tap running is 5, use a recyclable bottle is 6. Do's are 1, 3, 6. Do's are 1, 3, 6. Yes. We have many answers. Do's are 136, don'ts are 245, do's are 136. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to post the answer. So the do's were 1, recycle, go outside, which was 2. We don't want our kids inside. We don't want them in front of gadgets. We don't want them in the house. We want them outside in the green. So go outside was a do. 3 was pick up plastic, and do use a recyclable bottle. The don'ts were throw litter or leave the tap running. Thank you very much. Okay, now let's look at the discussion idea for our primary learners. What will you do at home and at school to save the planet? Tell us about it. So this could be a speaking activity, or it could be a writing activity, whatever you think, but it's some discussion idea post watching the video. Young learners, they can draw pictures, they can use symbols, icons, or they can write sentences. You can give them an I will sentence stem, and they can write, I will recycle, I will save water, simple words according to their vocabulary. So these are some discussion ideas. Again, the picture I've taken from National Geographic, it talks about there are no predators on Antarctica, which allow the penguin populations to flourish, but warming temperatures are making them harder for them to survive. Sometimes using visuals is also a good aid to get students thinking about climate change. Okay, we've completed the primary lesson. How do you think you can adapt this in your classroom? Can you type your ideas that you will use in your classroom in the chat box, please? Any ideas you may have on how you will use this lesson in your classroom? I think we used it here for listening. It could be watching. We introduced vocabulary. We had comprehension. Any other ideas once you reflect on your classroom? Yes, through a writing activity, an essay or a story. Very good idea. Research project. Circle time is a good idea. They can sit in a circle and discuss. Yes, listening, speaking, reading, writing, moral education. Very good idea. You can use flashcards. You can make flashcards of these so that they can associate the word with the sentence. Reordering, good idea. Group discussion, many great ideas. Do a skit. Very good. Role plays are great, and everybody loves, especially little children, they love the singing. Many great ideas. Thank you so much. Now, leadership roles, we are coming to that. Peer learning, grammar exercises, group making, community discussion, make our environment clean. Thank you. So many ideas on how you can adapt it in the primary classroom. Now I'm going to look at how we are going to use it in the secondary classroom. Does anyone know why does 1.5 degrees matter? We will discuss this in the secondary lesson, but this 1.5 degrees is a very important number. It is being discussed a lot as we go into COP this month. So any ideas on why 1.5 is very important? You can type in the chat box. So to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels, emissions must already be decreasing and need to be cut off by almost half by 2030, which is just 7 years away. But unfortunately, we are drastically off this target. So we need to look closer at how we are going to talk to secondary learners about introducing why this 1.5 degrees is so important. Again, we are going to do a video activity. If you don't have access to technology, you can download the script from the British Council website. You can read it out. It could be a listening activity. Also look at cross-curricular links, because we can work with math teachers, we can work with science teachers, we can work with EVS teachers, we can work with social studies teachers. We can use visuals from different textbooks to integrate it so that we are together giving the same message, and our learners learn words like sustainability. We discuss environmental literacy. In addition to digital literacy, environmental literacy is very important, and we can look at cross-curricular links. So this is the vocabulary that we need to introduce before we watch the video. Again, I'll ask you to do a matching activity. On the left, we have words, and on the right, we have the definitions. So the words we have are 1 global, 2 a species, 3 carbon, 4 a greenhouse gas, 5 a heat wave. Look at what definition on the right matches with it and type it in the chat box. So the example 1 is E, which is relating to the whole world. So look at all the words and the definitions, and please type your answers in the chat box. Habib has a good idea to give them pair work to think, discuss about how they feel when temperatures increase and affect our planet. Yes, 2E, 4C, 5A, 2B, 4C. Somebody's got all the answers. 5A, 4C, 2E, 3D, 2B. 1 was global, which was E, relating to the whole world. 2 we have is a species, which is B, a group of animals or plants which are the same and can reproduce with each other. 3 is carbon, which was D, which is a chemical substance that is found in all living things and especially in coal, oil, etc. 4 is a greenhouse gas, which was C, a gas such as carbon dioxide that scientists think is making the earth hotter. 5 is a heat wave, which was a period of time when the weather is much hotter than usual. We are definitely feeling it now because we are already at the end of November and it is still very hot. In many places, we still need to use the air conditioning. It is very hot. While watching the video, I need you to think of all these questions because there is a lot of numbers and data that you will see in the video. So if you need, you can take a screenshot. Again, at the end of the video, I'll ask you to type the answers with the gap fill. So you can take a screenshot if you like, or just remember that you're going to have to remember a lot of numbers. So pay close attention while watching the video. It's related to why 1.5 degrees is so important.
The planet's climate has constantly been changing over thousands of years. The global average temperature today is about 15 degrees centigrade. Scientists are worried that the planet is warming faster than ever before. The 20 warmest years on record have been in the past 22 years, according to the World Meteorological Organization. If this trend continues, temperatures may rise by 3 to 5 degrees centigrade by 2100. Scientists say we should try and stop this trend and not allow the average global temperature to rise more than 1.5 degrees. That even a 2 degrees centigrade rise would be bad for us all. Now, half a degree doesn't sound like much, but it could make a big difference to the planet. A 2 degrees centigrade rise would mean that all the coral reefs would disappear, but a 1.5 degrees centigrade rise means that there would still be some. Also, 18% of the insects on Earth will disappear if the temperature goes up by 2 degrees centigrade, compared to 6% disappearing at 1.5 degrees centigrade. 37% of people will be affected by dangerous heat waves at 2 degrees centigrade. That's twice the number compared to at a 1.5 degrees centigrade rise. Whether it's coral reefs, crops, floods, or the survival of species, scientists say everyone and everything is far better off in a world that limits the rise to 1.5 degrees centigrade. So what can we do? Scientists say that carbon will have to be sucked out of the air by machines and stored underground, and that these devices exist already. They also say that billions of trees will have to be planted. Also, someone suggested not buying new clothes too often because the fashion industry is a major source of the greenhouse gases that are overheating the planet. And of course, using transport that doesn't burn fossil fuels, like electric cars. It's even better to walk or ride a bike.
Yes, it's better to walk or ride a bike. It's good for our health as well. We shouldn't buy too many clothes. There are many things that we don't think about, but they are also affecting climate change and they are heating the earth. So back to the gap fill. I hope you remember all the numbers that you heard. So here is the gap fill. The first one was today the average temperature, which was D, of the planet is about 15 degrees centigrade. Look at all of them and please type in the chat box which number you think matches with which alphabet. So 2, what matches with 2, what matches with 3, 4, 5, and 6. And please type your answers in the chat box. So we have 2A, 3B, 4F, 5E, and 6C. Somebody has 2A, yes. Everyone has 2A. Here are the answers. Many 2A's. 2A, 3B, 4F, 5E, 6C. Yes. So the answers are today the average temperature of the planet is 15 degrees centigrade. 18% of insects on Earth will disappear if the temperature rises by 2%. This is compared to 6% disappearing at 1.5 degrees centigrade. 4, if there is a 2 degree centigrade rise, twice the number of people will be affected by heat waves. 5, we will be in a better situation if we limit the rise by 1.5 degrees centigrade. 6 is we need to plant billions of trees. So really, we need to think of planting a lot of trees. I have taken this video and this lesson from the British Council site. If you can't have play videos, you can use it as a listening activity. The script is there. Again, after watching the video, and we need to have a discussion as a classroom for high school students, since this is a high school lesson. What do you think we should do to help limit climate change? It could be a speaking activity, it could be a group activity, it could be writing. You could include digital literacy. They could make videos, they could make social media posts. Think of ways that you can have a classroom discussion. And now I'd like you to type in the chat box how you will apply this lesson in your classroom. How will you apply the activity that we saw, the video, and why is 1.5 degrees centigrade important? Please type your answers in the chat box of any ideas you have that you will use in your classroom. We have some ideas. We use the lesson for a listening activity, a watching activity. We introduce some words. They call it green glossary. I've heard people refer to it as introducing our learners so that they learn these terms that are important for them. Kaveri says discussion on temperature and rising temperatures and its effect. Farwa says you'll have a group discussion in your class. Very important to have some group activity, project work where they can research. Thanks, Vimi. Very good idea. Drama, music, and dance. The arts are a powerful way of integration, and it's a powerful tool for learners to express themselves. Thank you, Shilpa. Compare and contrast activity. Debate, very good idea. You can have somebody for and somebody against. From Facebook, I will apply it to integrate in the lesson with other subjects. Debate is often peer learning about climate, very good. Class 12 lead activity for a lesson on students on ICE program, have an open forum. Thank you. You have lots of good ideas that you can use in your classroom. Now we've watched the two lessons. One was primary and one was secondary. Now we are going to look at climate action. A couple of months ago, my colleague Meena did a session on the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We are specifically looking at Goal 13, which is climate action. The goal says take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. Each person in every country, in every continent will be impacted in some shape or form by climate change. Climate change is disrupting national economies and affecting lives and livelihoods. Unfortunately, it's especially of the most vulnerable. If left unchecked, climate change will cause average global temperatures to increase beyond 3 degrees and will adversely affect every ecosystem. Already, we are seeing threats such as food and water scarcity, which can lead to conflict. Doing nothing will end up costing us a lot more than if we take action now. So let us look at how we are going to take some action in our classroom. This is an idea that you can think about creating your own classroom climate action plan. The first step we look at is collaboratively brainstorm. It is very important that your learners are part of the process, that they feel that they are part of it. It's not only the teacher telling them what to do. So have an activity where they can, it could be a speaking activity, it could be a writing activity, it could be individual, then get them to work in pairs and then in groups. Give them the vocabulary as required. You can scaffold them with some ideas. You can use your home language if required. Let them agree, identify the issue that they want to work on. It could be as a class, it could be the school, it could be their home community, it could be larger, it could be your whole city or your village. Let them, it could be reducing plastic, it could be avoiding single-use plastic, it could be planting trees, recycling, whatever they come up with. Most importantly, then let them discuss a possible solution because they want to feel that they can solve this problem, not it's something that we can't do anything about. So let them look at ideas. Again, it could be a speaking activity, it could be writing. Let them come to some decision on what the solution could be. Next, let them write down a concrete action plan. What are the ideas that they're going to use? How are they going to put it into practice? This could be a writing activity. If students have access to technology, they can also create videos, they can create posters that they can share online. These could be digital using social media, or if you want to put up posters in your school or in the neighborhood, make sure you don't add to the litter, try and recycle newspapers, try and recycle other paper that you have, use old magazines, use different ways of recycling your resources. Then define roles. I think somebody had already mentioned we need to look at defining roles. So let each person volunteer to do something to help this task. Somebody can have leadership roles, somebody can have, technology roles, making the video, somebody can talk to the school authorities or in their neighborhood. Different persons can have different roles. Then they need to look at advocacy in their school or in their school community or in their home community where they live. How are they going to implement this? How are they going to get the bins if it's, recycling garbage? Once they get the garbage into different bins, how are they going to sort it out? How are they going to put it into use so that it's not wasted and adding to the litter? They need to think this through. If it's planting trees, where are they going to get the trees? Where are they going to plant the trees? Who is going to water the trees? So they need to think through the whole project. I also heard that in one of the British Council podcasts I was listening to, they asked students to bring little plants in, and that really helped the classroom environment because it reduced the carbon dioxide in the classroom. That is another small idea that they could try. Look for the action plan within the community. putting their idea into action in their school, whether they are planting trees, whether they are advocating against the use of single-use plastic, whatever their ideas are, how are they putting it into action? How are they engaging the wider community so that they get the word out? They need to think of whether it's their family, whether it's their classroom, their school, or the wider community. Once they have completed this whole idea, they need to reflect on how it went. Did it go well? Is there anything they want to change? How would they do it differently next time? Or did it go very well? They want to start another idea. So they need to keep reflecting on how they've put this plan into action. They also need to think of a timeline. Is this something they can do in 1 week, in 1 month, in 1 semester? Is it a whole year activity? And then once they complete it, do they want to move on to another project or redo the same thing? Maybe they didn't think it through, they want to refine their idea. So it's important that it's a community activity. They're using not only speaking, reading, writing, listening, they're also using critical thinking, problem solving, maybe digital literacy skills. So think of all the skills that we are using to make sure this works. Now that we have an idea for some climate action plan, Mahua, can you please paste the link in the chat box? This is the Padlet link. I'll request you to go to the Padlet and please type your ideas that you think you can use in your school for your action plan. So this is the Padlet link. When you get there, please click on the plus sign, and that will allow you to type a title and then some steps. I'd like you to think it through. For example, I did this as a rehearsal with some of my colleagues, and they said, I will encourage my students to reduce the use of single-use plastic. They mentioned they will reflect on the single-use plastic they use themselves. So they will carry cloth bags, and then they will also campaign with others and with stores to stop using single-use plastic. So please type on the Padlet your ideas that you have. Yes, somebody said plan a cleanliness drive at school or in a local park to pick up litter. Somebody had said save water. Very good idea. This is to encourage students to recycle books. You can plan a book drive, collect and sort the books according to the age and the genre, and then start a community library. The library could be in your school, it could be in your neighborhood, it could be in a community where they don't have access to books and they want books. Public transport, that's a very good one. Thank you. You need to use more public transport so that we are less dependent on cars, which are increasing the fossil fuels. So carry a cloth bag, somebody's typed in the chat box, walk or cycle to school, use public transport. Think of also what would appeal to your students and your learners and how they would also start thinking about their actions on what they can do to reduce climate change. Save water is very important. I know in many schools we have signs like to turn off the tap, creating awareness to segregate garbage, measure quantity of waste. Thank you. That's a good idea. Check the weight of material monthly. Yes, that would be, there's too much packaging waste also that we have. So you can keep thinking about this. I'm going to leave this Padlet link open. Think of your own climate action plan and how you're going to reduce the use of many things that are not friendly to the planet in your classroom and in your community. Thank you. Stop paving the entire compound, rather plant grass. Very good. Avoid using plastic. Better to keep your own bag to buy something when you go to the local market. I always carry my bags and I'm always fighting with them when they try to give me single-use plastic. But many people don't bring their bags, and even if you carry a plastic bag, it's fine, but we reduce the amount of plastic that we're using. So these were the learning outcomes that we had for our session. We went through 3 parts. One was the primary lesson, then was the secondary lesson, and then we looked at our climate action plan. I want you to reflect on this session and type on a scale of 1 to 5, where do you think you were in terms of achieving our learning outcomes? 1 is we weren't able to achieve them very well, and 5 is we were able to achieve them. Were you able to brainstorm the effects of climate change that we are experiencing? Integrate climate action and reflection in your language lessons. And 3 is create a climate action plan to implement in your classroom or your community. I will quickly go over the references that we have, and then if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat box. These are the references of the resources I used. One was the songs that we saw. It's from the British Council website. The other lessons, there was one very good one called The Storm is Coming. Then the video we saw, which was Why Does 1.5 Degrees Matter? I also looked at other resources on the climate action plan from the British Council site and from the UN site. What is climate change and sustainable development goals related to climate change and climate action? Okay, thank you. I have many 5s in the chat box. Thank you so much if we have achieved our learning outcomes. These are links to different British Council resources. Get involved. There's the QR code and the link. All of these will be posted on the YouTube British Council channel. So you will be able to see them. If required, you can scan the QR codes now, or you can take a picture of the slide. The podcast is very useful. It's called Get Involved, Action Language Education. There are many resources which have very useful ideas that you can listen to, which are about climate change and climate action. And there is a new resource that we have, which you can download the publication, Climate Action in Language Education, Activities for Low Resource Contexts. Any questions that you have, if you can paste them in the chat box, and I will try to answer them.
Thank you very, very much, Michelle, for a very engaging session. I'm completely with the participants when they say I could see a lot of 5s in the chat box here. Everybody on Facebook has been saying that it's been a very engaging session. And I do completely agree with all the ideas shared here. Sometimes we do begin to question whether just one person doing something to the climate is going to make a difference. But yes, I think what you've shared today really makes us think that it is going to bring about a difference. Even one drop in the ocean is going to count, and it goes a long way. Just to get the question and answer session started, Michelle, I had a question around, we always talk about doing all these activities, but as an English language teacher, do I need to do it in isolation, or can I do it as part of my other English language lessons in my classroom?
So good point, Priya. Thanks for bringing that up. So already our textbooks have a lot of ideas and activities. And with the NEP, we are looking at climate action, we're looking at environmental education. So already we have some links. It's important to use other resources as well. That's why I think that our textbooks already have a lot of activities. It's useful just to bring other ideas, because sometimes students want a bit of a break from the textbook. There are lots of low resource classroom ideas as well that you can use. I felt that, singing and songs are a useful way to bring the message across. It's a serious topic, but I don't want us to, especially young students, to feel that it's hopeless. They need to feel that they can do something. It's very important that we realize we're all in this together. I think there was a slogan earlier that said, think local, act global, or think global, act local. And climate change is a very important part because we have to all do our bit. Then only are we going to make some difference in the whole world.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michelle. We have a question from one of our Facebook Live participants, Azhar. Azhar asks, can the SDG cutoff be extended from 2030? What is your opinion on it? That's Azhar's question.
It doesn't matter what my opinion is. I think there's a lot of data out there. And from whatever I read this month, because this month there's been a lot of headlines and the COP is happening in Dubai right now. I think we are very far off from there, and we need some drastic measures, which is why I think we're having this session. Many people are having sessions, and I think young people are more involved and they're more aware, and sometimes they hold us responsible for causing so much of the damage and leaving it to them. So I think we really have to dial back on many things, whether it's, cycling, whether it's reducing plastic, whether it's buying new clothes, whether it's planting trees. We really have to take this seriously. And the importance of having this workshop is for us to take it to our classrooms, because education is definitely our most powerful resource. So if we get all our students involved, they are really the future and they will really be able to bring about change. My hope and faith is that they will bring about the change.
Absolutely, Michelle. I think future citizens are the hope, right? Money Mekalai has a question in this Zoom chat. She asks if there are any grammar exercises on the theme of climate change, etc., on the British Council website.
There are lots of grammar activities, but let's think of, grammar in context. As we keep saying, we want functional grammar. We don't want grammar to be learned in isolation. We look at a communicative approach in language education. So think of how they're integrating the grammar in conversation, in speaking, in writing. So you will find a lot of ideas, but we want grammar to be part of the process, not just grammar for grammar's sake.
Absolutely, Michelle. I think one interesting thing that you did today in your primary lesson was introduce vocabulary, and in the secondary one as well, introduce vocabulary, which is one aspect of grammar through the climate action lesson plan. And I think one of your post-discussion activities also said for primary learners, you could use complete statements for I will.
Sentence stems and things, yeah.
Absolutely, you could use those as very interesting activities. Do we have, I'm just scrolling through to see if we have any more questions. Great, Maria. Okay. I think we'll all, as a community, Maria, we need to build more awareness around climate action. There is a very interesting comment in the section by Pramod. He says, climate change is a slow poison. I realized it while teaching a lesson, Journey to the End of the Earth by Tishani Doshi. We must make our students realize this seriously. Can't agree more with you, Pramod, right, Michelle?
It is true, but I was also thinking in preparing for this workshop, we have to be concerned because there's a lot of climate anxiety that young people are feeling. They feel they can't do anything. So we have to somehow strike a balance with making them aware, but also making them feel that they can do something. because we don't want them to lose hope. We have a lot of other issues with, mental health and things which come as along with this climate anxiety. So I think as teachers and teacher educators, we need to empower them. We need to give them the tools, but we also need to mobilize them to take some action so that they just feel that there's no hope, I'm not going to do anything. They should feel I can do something, I can contribute in a small way, even if it's me, I'm taking my cloth bag, I am planting trees. In some way, I feel I'm making a difference.
Absolutely. And I think we have time only for one more question. I think this is a good one from Meena. She says, shouldn't we raise awareness about aggressive consumerism adding to climate destruction?
Absolutely. We are, and I think with COVID, we got so used to sitting at home and ordering everything that everything gets delivered. It's so easy just at the click of your phone, and it's sort of even catalyzed the consumerism, just this wanting to buy more things, and with it comes the packaging, comes, if it's clothes, then the resources we saw. It's a very difficult balance that we have to strike, but we need to definitely, thanks Meena, let our kids and our students know that consumerism is not the answer. There are many other ways to engage and to do something beyond shopping and buying.
Absolutely. Using pre-loved clothes, I think that's coming up very much now.
Yes. Thrifting is
So, we're going back to our roots, I believe. Yeah.
Exactly,
As kids,
exactly.
I've worn my sister's clothes, I've worn my cousin's clothes, and all that is coming back.
True.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for the engaging question and answer session as well, Michelle. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for a very engaging session on a very pertinent topic. I hope, and I know from teachers' feedback here that they've all really found the session very insightful and valuable. Thank you very much for being an engaging audience. I will stop live streaming, and Susan, could you please stop the recording?
Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks, Priya and the British Council. Thank you. See you in December.